My name is Natalie Chen, 28 years old, and I work as a private garment cleaner in the wealthy district of this city. It's not a regular laundry shop, it's door-to-door service. The lingerie, gowns of wealthy wives, and their husbands' suits and shirts are all washed, ironed, and organized by my own hands. They trust me because I don't speak, I don't look, and I don't ask. I've been in this line of work for 8 years. In 8 years, my hands have soaked countless silk shirts and ironed endless cashmere scarves. I've lost count. There are calluses on my hands, between my thumb and index finger, left by holding the iron. My nails are cut very short, with no white left, afraid of snagging the fabric. Every day, I carry an old canvas bag containing stain remover pens, a small iron, a sewing kit, and a pair of spare white gloves. The strap broke twice, and I sewed it back myself. The stitches are dense, ugly, but strong. In 8 years, I've never met a woman more elegant than Mrs. Winston's. Her closet is bigger than my apartment, every garment on cedar hangers, every shoe in a dust bag. Her lingerie is French silk, her gowns are Italian handmade, her perfume is limited edition custom made. There's a faint scent in her closet, not perfume, but a mix of cedar wood and silk. Every time I walk in, I unconsciously lighten my steps. Natalie, how did you spend your weekend? At the station in like van laten wij red the bay, pisagmies, Natalie werps, din your weekend, resting at home. She doesn't know that I'm meticulous because I've been poor. People have been poor know that everything must be cherished. She cherishes her clothes, and I cherish my job. That afternoon, I found a lipstick mark on the lining of Mr. Winster's suit. Not a lipstick, but a mark printed on the lining. Light pink, with a hint of purslane. It's not Mrs. Winster's color. She uses matte dark red. I've ironed her clothes and know her lipstick smudges on collars. That color is, this one is younger, livelier, like it was left by some young woman. I squatted on the floor, holding that suit. The lining was light gray silk, the lipstick mark on the chest, close to the heart. I touched it gently with my finger. It was dry, seeped into the fabric. I didn't make a sound. I gently wiped the lipstick mark on the lining with a damp cloth, but it wouldn't see zent. I used a stain remover pen. Still nothing. It had seeped in, like river water flowing into sand. It's just a small pink mark now, but in my eyes, it's a crack. The crack will grow larger and larger, until the whole house collapses. I pretended I saw nothing, but my hand was shaking, not out of fear, but because I knew this lipstick mark would destroy my family. I didn't tell Mrs. Winston's. Not because she wasn't good to me, but because I knew her character. She would confront Mr. Winston's face to face, he would deny it, he would get angry, and she would cry. Then she would forgive him, and he would continue. I've seen too many stories like this. My mother was the same. Father cheated, mother found out. Father denied it, mother forgave. And again, until mother died. When she died, she was still clutching a photo of father when he was young. The corners of that photo were yellowed. Her fingerprints were on it, blurred. I couldn't let Mrs. Winton's end up like that, so I decided to do something myself. I was going to find the owner of that lipstick mark, get the evidence, and let her see it for herself. Not with just my words, but with facts. I needed to identify the brand and shade of that lipstick. I searched online for 3 days. Light pink, pearlinescent, not a mainstream brand. It was a niche French brand, sold in only 2 boutiques. One in Paris, one in New York. This city had no boutique, but there was a personal shopper. I found the shopper and asked who had bought this shade in the last 3 months. She said it was inconvenient to disclose client privacy. I said I was a loyal user of this shade and wanted to connect with fellow enthusiasts. She hesitated, then gave me a social media account. The profile picture was a close-up of lips, painted with light pink pearlescent lipstick. I looked at those lips and thought, this is the one printed on the suit. Her name was Sophia, 26 years old, working at a public relations firm. In her photos, her lips were painted that light pink pearlescent cohom. In her downs, the background was that hotel Mr. Winters often visited. The hotel lobby had a huge crystal chandelier. I recognized it. Because I had been there to deliver dry cleaned clothes, that chandelier was so bright, It made my eyes squint. My first guess was confirmed. The hotels she visited highly overlapped with Mr. Winton's business trips. New York, Chicago, Miami, Las Vegas. Every time Mr. Winton's went on a business trip, she would post photos in the same city. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a date. I saved these screenshots in an encrypted folder. Visual presentation of encryption process. Not evidence, but clues. Clues couldn't be shown to Mrs. Winsters because she would say it's just a coincidence. She needed something more direct. I needed Sophia to admit it herself. But I couldn't approach her directly. She wouldn't admit it. I needed a reason to get close to her. I discovered on her social media that she loves cats. She has a ragdoll cat and often posts photos of it. The cat is white, with blue eyes and very long fur. When it lies on the sofa, it looks like a fluff toy. I also have a cat, not a ragdoll, but a rescued orange tabby. His name is Little Orange, adopted from a shelter. When he first came, he was skin and bones. Now he's fat, with his belly wobbling. I sent her a private message. Hello, I'm Natalie. I also have a cat. Your ragdoll is so cute. Can I ask for some feeding advice? As I typed those words, my finger paused on the screen. I was lying to her. I was using the cat to deceive her. My cat is an orange tabby, not a ragdoll, but I had no other choice. She replied quickly, "Thank you. What kind of cat do you have?" I sent a photo of my orange tabby. She said, "So cute. We can meet for coffee and talk about cats." She gave me the address of a cafe. My plan has begun. She looked younger than her photo, with eyes and fast restricts. Hatrina bicycunes and the tingfint genjul kohong. Bright to like selpi singslong. What a yenzing understaring tadadzwaitrin. What are you looking at? Nothing. Your lipstick color very nice. Thank you. This is my favorite shade. Where did you buy it? From a personal shopper. A niche French brand. Is it expensive? A bit expensive, but worth it. I smiled. She didn't ask my name or my job. She didn't care. I could tell from her fingers that she had never done hard labor. Sophia, do you have a boyfriend? Yes, he's at work. What does he do? My fingers tightens around the coffee cup. A driver. Mr. Winster's driver, Mark. So the lipstick mark was Mark's? No, it was Mark's girlfriend. What about you? I don't. You're so beautiful. How can you not have one? I don't trust men. She laughed. Her smile was sweet, but it stung my eyes. Sophia and I became friends, not real friends, but friends I pretended to be. We drank coffee together, shopped for cat supplies, and walked the cat in the park. She called me Nana, and I called her Feifei. She didn't know that every smile of mine was fake, but my cat was real, and it liked her. My horn thumb felt heavy. So well behaved. Sophia, is your boyfriend good to you? Yes. Have you met his family? No, he said his family is all abroad. Do you believe him? Why wouldn't I? I fell silent. Because she believed. She believed a driver's words. My mother believed my father's words, believed them all her life, until she died. When she died, she was still clutching his photo in her hand. I was the one who put that photo in her hand. I felt her fingernail marks on the back. I can't let anyone else believe anymore. Maybe not knowing the truth is a kind of happiness, but I don't believe in that. I decided to let Sophia know the truth, but not by telling her directly, but to discover herself. I hired private detective, not to investigate the wealthy man, but to investigate Mark. Mark was the driver and needed to prove his car and Mark a girlfriend and that the wealthy man was involved with Mark's girlfriend. The detective stayed at the hotel Mr. Winters often visited for 3 days. On the night of third day, he took the photos. Mr. Wins and Sophia walked out of the hull elevator. Sophia wore a white dress and Mr. Wins had his arm around her waist. On her lips was that light pink pearl lipstick. The detective sent me the photos and a computer in that to a USB drive. The USB drive was tiny, only thumb size. But it held a woman's fate. I placed the USB drive under my pillow. I slept on it every night. It pressed against my head, but I didn't move it. I needed to remember what I was doing. I couldn't soften my heart, couldn't hesitate, couldn't treat. If I retreated, Mrs. Winties would continue to be deceived, continue to spend his money, live in his house, wear his clothes. I hesitated for 3 days. On the third day, Mrs. Winsters called me. Natalie, my dress needs ironing. Can you come tomorrow? Yes. After hanging up, I put the USB roll in my pocket. The pocket was deep, the USB pressed against my thigh, cold. I knew that tomorrow was the moment to act. I invited Sophia to my home, not to a coffee shop, but to my own home. My apartment was small, 1 bedroom and 1 living room filled with cat toys. She arrived wearing a white dress and that light pink pearl lipstick. I poured her a cup of tea. She took a sip and frowned. It's a bit bitter. I forgot to add sugar. I deliberately forgot to add sugar because I wanted her to remember the bitterness of this tea. She would remember this tea later, remember this afternoon, remember what I said. The tea was black tea, daring, the same kind Mrs. Winston's drank. She didn't know. Sophia, who is your boyfriend's boss? The boss of Winners Group, Richard Winners. Did you know he's married? She froze. Her eyes stopped smiling. Her fingers stopped, the teacup suspended in mid-air. He's divorced. Are you sure? He said so. Do you believe him? She was silent for a long time. Light from the window fell on her white dress. Why are you asking these questions? I took out my phone and opened that photo. Her face was frontal, his was sideways, but it was clear enough. Her hand was on his shoulder, his fingers on her waist. She smiled sweetly. Is this you? Her face turned pale. The pink lipstick stood out even more on the white paper. Her hands were shaking. How do you have this? You don't need to know who I am. You just need to know that you've been deceived. Sophia's world collapsed in that moment. Little Orange walked over and rubbed its head against her hand. The truth had been revealed. What would happen next, I would no longer control. She cried, not silently but uncontrollably, covering her bird. I didn't know he was married. Now you do. My father. Why did you tell me? Because I was deceived too. How did she die? Illness. But I think she died of a broken heart. She asked no more. She stood up and walked to the door. Her hand rested on the knob, not turning it. Her fingers trembled, nails digging into her palm. Natalie, thank you. You're welcome. I don't know how to face him. You don't need to face him. You only need to face yourself. She left. The door closed. I leaned against it, closing my eyes. I did it, but there was no sense of victory, only exhaustion. So tired I didn't want to speak. Sophia didn't contact me. Her social media stopped updating. Profile pic turned black. I don't know where she went. Maybe left the city, maybe still here, maybe confronted Mr. Winnister. I don't know. But I knew the UAB still had photos, not just Sophia's but of Mr. Winstill and her. Evidence, not for court, but Mrs. Winster. I hesitated long. Give it, she'll be hurt. Don't give it, she'll continue being CV'd. She keeps spending his money, living in his house, wearing his clothes. She doesn't know his clothes have another woman's lipstick marks. She can't wash them off, and I don't want to. I hesitated for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Mrs. Winster called. Her voice was as usual, unhurrying. Natalie, my dress needs ironing. Can you come tomorrow? Yes. The next day, I went to the Winston Manor. The butler let me in and led me to closet. It was huge, with even more new clothes than last time. Mrs. Winston sat in the living room, hot out of black tea. Her lips were painted with that matte deep me, her eyes calm. Natalie, you get busy first. I'll come see you in a while. Okay. I entered the closet and closed the door. I was alone in the closet. I placed the USB on her vanny, her matte deep red next to that light pearlescent one. I stared at them for a long time. One is hers, one is hers. She uses the same vanny, her husband uses the same woman. Then I went out and continued ironing. My hand was steady, the iron gliding through the steam, silk making a faint sizzling sound. When Mrs. Winston came in, I was squatting on the floor, organizing her shoes. Natalie, what is this? I don't know. I saw it on the vanity. Thought it was yours. She frowned, plugged the USB into her laptop. Her fingers slid on the trackpad, her face turning from white to red, then to green. Her lips trembled, but she made no sound. Natalie, go out first. Okay. I walked out and closed the door. I stood in the corridor, listening. No sound. She didn't even cry. She just quietly looked at those photos for what felt like a century. The corridor was quiet, the butler on the phone downstairs, his voice distant. My breathing was light, afraid she might hear. The door opened. She stood there, eyes red but without tear scans. Her Natalie, do you know who put this here? No. She asked me who's in the photos? No. She stared into my eyes. I didn't flinch. Her eyes held questions, anger, fear, but mostly exhaustion. She was tired as I was. Natalie, how many years have you worked for me? 5. Have you seen Richard bring women home? No. Have you heard any gossip? No. She nodded. She didn't press further because she knew I wouldn't say, not out of distrust, but fear that speaking would force her to face it. Silence allowed pretense. Now she had to face reality. Natalie, go out. Iron the dress tomorrow. Okay. Aaron, I need you. Now. Aaron is her lawyer. For the next few weeks, Mrs. Winstons didn't contact me. The butler said she traveled to Europe. I don't know if it was for relaxation or divorce. I don't know. But I often see Mr. Winston's in the news. Photos of him dining with a young woman. Photos of him at a hotel entrance with that young woman. That woman wasn't Sophia. It was another one. Yet another. He changes them quickly. I sit on my sofa at home, watching those news stories. Little Orange lies on my lap, purring. Its warmth seeps through my pants to my skin. I don't know what I'm thinking. Maybe thinking that lipstick mark will appear on another suit. Maybe it already has. One day, I received a letter. No sender, no address, just one sentence. Thank you. Your USB drive. It's Mrs. Winters' handwriting. I recognize it. She wrote my name on tip envelopes. Her handwriting is beautiful and neat. The envelope is cream-colored, with no creases on the corners. She wrote it carefully. I stared at those words for a long time, then folded the letter and put it in the drawer. Those are my mother's photo, Little Orange's vaccination record, and my old passport. I put the letter on top. I didn't reply, because it wasn't necessary. She knew, she acted, she thanked me. That's enough. 6 months later, Mrs. Winster returned, not alone, but with lawyers. She stayed at the estate for 3 days, packing her belongings. Clothes, shoes, jewelry. Mrs. Winsters, are you moving out? Call me Caroline. She smiled. That smile was different from before. Her previous smile was elegant, proper, for outsiders to see. Now her smile is for herself. There are fine lines under her eyes, from smiling. Natalie, thank you. Thank me for what? Thank you for helping me see clearly. I didn't answer. Do you know who planted the USB drive? I don't know. You know, but you won't say. She looked at me without pressing further. She knew I wouldn't say, and she didn't need to know. She only needed the result. The result was her divorce and $300 million. Money is cold, but freedom is warm. Caroline used that money to do one thing. She founded an academy called the Anti-Domestic of Female Workers Training Academy, not teaching women to resist to earn money. She hired the best teachers sewing, beauty care, and computers. She provides food and subsidies. Many who come to learn's abuse, no skills, no hope. Caroline gives them hope. She came to find me on the day the academy opened. She wore a white shirt, jeans, sneakers. Natalie, I want you to be the CEO. Me? I don't know how to manage. You can. You're careful, patient, and you know how
I'm just a cleaner.
A cleaner can also be a CEO. I looked at her, and she looked at me. Her gaze was different from before. Before it was polite, now it's sincere.
Okay.
I became the CEO of Female Maker Training Academy. Not a name only, but real work. I arrive at the academy at 7 every morning and leave at night classrooms, kitchens, and dormitories. I interview teachers, student chefs. I sign contract bills and write reports. I don't know how, but I learn. Caroline hired a teacher to teach me management named Irene. She teaches me how to read financial statements, write emails, and conduct meetings. When I look at financial, I can't tell what's an expense and income. She's not impatient. She circles items on the statement, writing cost inside. Her handwriting is small but clear. Natalie, you're not professionally trained, but you have one thing. What? You've suffered. People who have suffered know that others are suffering too. Managers don't need sympathy, but they need an understanding. I remembered that. First batch had 20 students, ranging from 20 to 50 years old, some with children, some alone. Their eyes held both fear and expectation. Fear was from the past, expectation for the future. I saw myself in them. At 20, I was fired from the factory with no money, no place to live. I worked a laundry, standing 12 hours a day, my hands soaked in water until the skin peeled. Slept in the store's warehouse, cardboard box of bed, old clothes as a blanket. I was afraid, but I didn't give up. I didn't give up, so I stand here today. They can too. I stood on the podium, looking at them. Some of their faces were swollen. Some had scars. Some of their hands were rough. Some were trembling. Some of their eyes avoided mine. Some dared not look at me. My name is Natalie. I used to be a cleaner. Now I am your director. You will be like me in the future. Not cleaners, but directors. Not looked down upon, but respected. Someone in the audience cried. I didn't hand her a tissue because they needed to cry. Letting it out was enough. When the first pat of students graduated, Caroline came. She gave each student a graduation certificate and a startup fund. Not much, but enough to rent a small shop and buy a few sewing machines. Get her student opened a tailor shop, and business was good. Heard the second hand, very loud, but she said louder, the more powerful. Another student opened a bakery with customers lining up. The bread she smelled so good, you could smell it 2 blocks away. Another student found a job at a beauty salon, and her boss said she was skilled. They succeeded. Not because of me, but because of themselves.
Thank you, Natalie. No need to thank me. Thank yourselves.
Caroline stood beside me, watching them. There were tears in her eyes.
Natalie, do you regret it? Regret giving me that USB drive back then?
No regrets.
Why?
Because those women needed you. You needed money. The money came from divorces. The divorces came from the USB drive. She smiled. So did I. The roses in the yard bloomed, red ones, one by one. She planted them. Sophia came back, not to see me, but to look for a job. She saw the academy's formation online and teacher. Her major was public relations and she could teach coordination skills. I sat with her in the office face to face. She had gained some weight and her hair was cut lipstick. She wore nude color, very subtle. There was a wedding ring on her hand, silver and plain. Natalie, long time no see.
Long time no see.
You've changed a lot.
So have you.
I didn't know before that you were, what?
The cleaner at Mrs. Winchester's house.
Now you know.
Do you hate me?
No, do you? No? She lowered her head. Her fingers drew circles on her knees. She did that when nervous. She didn't before, but now she does. Her nails were painted light pink, the same color as that lipstick. Maybe she still used it, maybe not. Natalie, I left him. Moved, changed jobs. Now I live alone and have a cat. Nana. I was stunned. Nana, that's my name.
You named the cat after me?
Yes. Because it's like you. Looks cold, but is actually warm. My eyes welled up with tears. I hired Sophia, not because I pitied her, but because she was capable. Her communication class was popular. Students said she spoke clearly and was easy to understand. She taught them how to answer phones, send emails, and communicate with clients. She taught them how to answer yes, send emails with confidence, teaching them to be neither humble nor arrogant. One day, she came to see me. Natalie, I want to tell you something.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Why? Because I didn't see through that man sooner. Because I didn't leave him sooner. You don't need to apologize. You were a victim too, she cried. I handed her a tissue, and she took it. This time, she took it. Her fingers trembled as she wiped her tears. Natalie, did you hate me? No. Why? Because you were deceived too. We were both deceived. The difference is that you woke up later than I did. I've woken up now. It's good that you've woken up. The Academy's reputation grew. More and more people came to enroll. We moved to a larger venue, added more equipment, and hired more teachers. Caroline donated another sum of money and established the Antic Barty Newinder Fund, helping women who couldn't come to the Academy learn skills online. Money wasn't the problem. The problem was how to spend it wisely. I spent carefully, because I knew every penny came from Caroline's pain. Her pain had brought them hope. Hope wasn't cheap, but it was worth it. Caroline rarely came to the Academy. She traveled around the world. She sent me postcards. She mailed the postcards to the Academy with Natalie Chen written on the envelope. Her handwriting was beautiful and neat. I pinned the postcards on the office wall. The wall was almost full. Each one represented a distant place she had visited. Her shadow fell on those postcards, together with me. I received a letter. No sender, no address. Inside the envelope was a photo of a young woman holding a baby. The baby was tiny, eyes closed, fists clenched. His fingers were short, with translucent nail beds. On the back of the photo was a line, Natalia, this is dismay that I am worthy of being loved. It was Sophia. She had a baby. She didn't tell me because she didn't want to disturb me. She just sent a photo to let me know she was doing well. The photo was taken at home, with her gray fabric sofa in the background. Her cat was lying on the armpad of the sofa, blue eyes staring at the camera. I recognized that cat, named Nana, my name. I pinned the photo on the wall, together with those postcards. The wall was fuller, and so was my heart. Xiaoju jumped on the table and pawed at the edge of the photo. I picked him up, and he meowed in protest. Caroline came back, not for an inspection, but to attend the Academy's anniversary celebration. She wore a white dress, her hair cut short, her skin tanned. She was thinner, but full of energy. She wore those pearl earrings, shining brightly in the sun.
Natalie, you did better than I did.
You gave me the opportunity.
Opportunity is for those who are prepared. You were ready, so it came.
I smiled. She smiled too.
Natalie, do you remember that USB drive?
I remember.
I always wanted to know who put it there.
You don't need to know.
I know it was you.
I didn't deny it. She didn't press further.
Thank you.
You're welcome. She left. I watched her back, thin but straight. Her shadow fell on the ground by the sin I won. She wouldn't have the money, wouldn't have divorced, wouldn't have started the academy. Those women wouldn't have had the chance, wouldn't have learned skills, wouldn't have opened tailor shops, bakeries, or beauty salons. They wouldn't have had the chance. So I don't regret it. The academy launched a new course. Psychological counseling, not by psychologists, by inviting women who have walked through darkness to share. Sophia was the first. She stood on stage, bare-faced, hothun harem than before. My name is Sophia. I was once deceived by a married man. I thought he loved me, but he only loved my youth. It took me a long time to move on. The way out was not to forget, but to remember. Remember that you were deceived, so you won't be deceived again. Remember that you deserve to be loved, and don't waste your love on the wrong person. Someone in the audience cried. I stood in the corner, not going on stage. This was her moment, not mine. Her tears fell onto the microphone, making her voice muffled. She didn't wipe them and continued speaking. Now I have a child. His name is Hope. I want him to know that mom is not perfect, but mom is brave. The applause lasted for a long time. I received a package. The sender was Mr. Winster's. The address was his company. I opened it. Inside was a letter and a check. The amount on the check was substantial, enough to run the academy for 3 years. The letter read,
Natalie, I know it was you. I don't hate you. I just don't understand why you helped her.
as if he hadn't written in a long time. The words, I don't hate you, were large, Morsi forcefully. Gerber was torn by the pen tip. I didn't reply. I didn't accept the check. I returned the check. It wasn't that I didn't need money. I didn't want his money. His money was dirty. Not because of his affair, but because he lied. He lied to Caroline, to Sophia, and to those young women. I won't take his money. Caroline's money is hers, and it's clean. I use her money with peace of mind. When I returned the check, I made a copy and filed it away. Not as evidence, but as a reminder. A reminder that I refused his money because I can earn my own. Caroline knew I returned the check, and she said nothing. She just patted my shoulder. Her hand was light, but strong.
Natalie, you're more stubborn than I am.
I grew up poor. The stubbornness of the poor is in their bones. I kept being stubborn. Stubborn enough to open a branch campus. Stubborn enough to train thousands of women. Stubborn enough to fill the walls with their graduation photos. Stubborn enough that my name was no longer cleaner, but director. But I didn't care about the title. I cared about those women. They walked out of the academy, wearing dresses they sewed themselves, applying stick they made themselves, smiling. Those were the most beautiful smiles I had ever seen. One of the academy's first students had succeeded in her business. Her tailoring shop had opened a branch, and she had hired several employees, many of whom were also academy graduates. Came to the academy to recruit, saying, I need to people. Her eyes were bright, just like Caroline's then. Not the brightness of wealth, but the brightness of hope. Natalie, thank you. You're welcome. It was your own effort. If you hadn't given me the chance, my efforts would have been useless. Opportunity. Caroline gave me a chance back then. I gave her a chance. She gave others a chance. Opportunities are passed on. They don't disappear when shared. Like love, they don't diminish when shared. A wooden sign hung at the entrance of her tailoring shop, reading, Natalie Academy Student Shop. I didn't know when she had hung it, but I saw it. Sophia's child was 1 year old. She brought him to the academy to play, and the baby crawled on the floor, grabbing my pant leg and not letting go. His fingers were short and ski-van. He was Hetley, refusing. I squat down and picked him up. He was heavy, but he didn't fuss. He didn't know who I was, but he wasn't shy. He trusted me because his mother trusted me. Sophia stood nearby, watching us, and smiled. Natalia, when are you going to have a child? I don't have a boyfriend. Aren't you in a hurry? No rush. I truly wasn't in a hurry. I had the academy, the students, those women, they were all my children, needing my care. Their children were also my children. This boy named Hope was no exception. He pulled my hair, refusing to let go. Sophia came over and took him away, and he cried. His cry was loud, echoing through the entire building. Mr. Winston remarried. Bride's a young model even than Sophia. He went their photo. She wore she white weddings. He smiled and happily, and so did she. I don't know if she knows how many people he has deceived. Maybe she knows, maybe she doesn't care. She cares about money, not the purse. Mr. Winston don't care. Anyway, she don't care. Well, closed the newspaper and threw it into the trash bin. Xiaoju jumped up and stepped on the paper a few. It didn't know what was printed on it. It just liked the texture of the paper. Caroline fell in love, not with a wealthy man, but with an architect. He was 5 years younger than her. He had designed many houses, but never his own. He said he would design a home together with Caroline. Caroline neither agreed again nor refused. She was afraid of finding lipstick stains on her again. Natalie, should I agree? Do you love him? Yes. Then agree. Aren't you afraid I'll get hurt? I am. But you can't stop loving because of fear. She agreed. She moved into his home, not a mansion, but an ordinary small house. Roses were planted in the yard, and the scent of bread filled the kitchen. She no longer wore designer brands or jewelry. She wore cotton dresses, bare-faced. But she smiled happily. I had never seen her smile so happily. Her smile was different from before. The old smile was for others. The new one was for herself. There were fine lines at the corner of her eyes, from smiling. She finally learned how to smile. The Academy's 5th anniversary. We held a celebration and invited all the students back. The owner of the tailor shop came. The manager of the beauty salon came too. They had all changed. They were no longer the fearful women they once were. They were confident, independent, and self-assured. They stood on stage and told their stories. They talked about their changes and their growth. Some people in the audience applauded. Some cried. I stood in the corner and didn't go on stage. Sophia came too. She brought her child. The child crawled below the stage while she spoke above. My name is Sophia. I once thought love was everything. Now I know that I am everything. When I'm well, love will be well. When I'm not well, love won't be well either. People in the audience applauded. Some cried. I stood in the corner, watching silently. Her child crawled onto the stage. He grabbed her pant leg. She squatted down and picked him up. Mother and son stood on stage together. Everyone in the audience was laughing. That was the most beautiful scene I had ever seen. Caroline got married. Not a grand ceremony, but a small wedding. Only family and friends. She invited me, and I went. She wore a white dress, not designer, but ordinary cotton. In her hands was a bouquet of wildflowers, not roses, but daisies. Her groom is wearing a suit. They exchanged rings in the yard. Her ring wasn't diamond, but a plain silver band. My eyes welled up, because that ring was the same as her wedding ring with Richard years ago. But the difference is, this ring was her choice. She chose it herself, not given by someone else. She chose, she loved, she married. This time it's real. Her groom looked at her, light in his eyes. That light wasn't the light of money, but the light of love. The academy moved to a new campus, not rented, but bought. Caroline paid for it, with both our names on it, but ours. I looked at the deed. It said Natalie Chen, my name printed on paper. I am the dean, not given by others, but earned by myself. I made a copy of the deed and put it in the drawer, along with that USB drive, that letter, and my mother's photo. The drawer was full, but I couldn't bear to throw them away. Those things are my memories, my traces. Proof that I lived. I did something, I changed something. I received a postcard, not from Caroline, but from Sophia. She took her child on a trousseau to the seaside. On the card, the sea was blue, the sand white. She wrote, Sue Natalie. Her handwriting was neater than before. She was learning to write, to teach her child. Her hands couldn't write before, but now they can. I pinned the postcard on the wall, together with Caroline's postcards, Sophia's photo, and the group photos of the students. A young woman came to the academy for help. Her eyes were swollen, her lips cracked. There were bruises on her arms from being beaten. Her fingers were thin, knuckles prominent. Her nails were broken, with dried blood in the crevices. She didn't dare to look at me, head bowed, voice barely a whisper.
Natalie, can you help me?
Yes. I arranged a dormitory for her, a medical checkup, and psychological counseling. I enrolled her in the sewing class. She learned quickly. She said she had learned as a child and knew how to use the machine. Her hands were skillful. The stitches dense even. 3 months later, she sewed her first dress. White, long, with a well-fitted waist. She stood before the mirror in the dress and cried. Not out of sadness, but out of joy. For the first time, she felt useful. For the first time, she felt she wasn't waste.
Ex-husband came Luke's for her, causing a scene at the academy gate. Drunk and cursing, he claimed she was his woman and demanded to take her away. His face was red, eyes bloodshot. I called the security. When they arrived, they took him away. He was still cursing as he left. Cursing her, cursing me, cursing the security.
She hid in the dormitory, afraid to come out. I knocked on her door. The door opened a crick, and her eye peered out at me from the gap. He's gone.
He'll come back.
Call the police again if he comes. You can't be afraid of him. The more you fear him, the more he'll come. She nodded. Her hands were still trembling. So were her lips.
Natalie, how long can I stay here?
Stay until you no longer need to.
When will that be?
When you stand up.
She stood up, not physically, but in her heart. Her hands stopped trembling. Her lips stopped shaking. Her eyes dared to look at people.
Her sewing skills improved. The teacher said she could open a studio. She had no money, so the academy lent her startup funds. She rented a small shop, bought 2 sewing machines, and started taking orders. Business wasn't great, but she persisted. She opened every morning and closed at 9 every night. She said, "One day it will get better." I believe in her. Because I was once like that. My fingers were burned by irons, pricked by needles, soaked in soapy water. It hurt, but I didn't stop. She won't stop either. Her studio started making money. Not much, but enough for rent and food. She no longer relied on men, no longer suffered abuse. She was free, she was happy. She came to me and gave me a dress. White, long, well fit at the waist. Exactly like the one I once sewed for her. She sewed it herself with tight stitches.
Natalie, thank you. You're welcome. Why don't you wear it? I can't bear to. Wear it. If it wears out, I'll sew another for you. I wore it. I stood before the mirror in the dress she sewed. The woman in the mirror wasn't a cleaner, but the dean, not looked down upon, but respected. My eyes welled up. The fabric was soft, pressed against my skin, very warm.
A journalist came to the academy asking for an interview. The journalist me asked, Natalie, you used to be a cleaner, now you are the dean. How did you achieve this? Because someone gave me a chance. Who? Caroline. Why did she give you a chance?
Because she was also deceived. The journalist paused.
Were you also deceived?
No. But my mother was deceived.
She didn't ask further. She lowered her head and wrote something in her notebook. Perhaps those abused women would see it. Perhaps those deceived women would see it. They would know that someone was like them, but that person stood up. They could too. The red light on the recorder flashed on and off like a heartbeat light. Sophia got married. The wedding was simple. She held wildflowers in her hands, not roses, but daisies. Just like Caroline's wedding. I watched her exchange rings on stage and tears fell, not out of sadness, but out of happiness. She found happiness, real happiness. Not deceived but chosen by herself. She chose right. She loved right. She deserves it. Her cat Nana came too, laying at her feet, purring. Today, I sit in my office. Outside the window is the Academy's garden, where roses grow, planted by Caroline. Roses are blooming, red, pink, and white. The breeze is gentle, and the sun is bright. I open the drawer and take out that USB drive. Small, black, with a silver edge. It holds photos of Mr. Winters and Sophia from many years ago. Those photos were once evidence. Now they are memories. Memories don't disappear, but they fade. They fade until they no longer hurt, until they can be recalled. I think of Sophia, of Caroline, of those students. They were once victims. Now they are survivors. They were not defeated. They stood up. They stand tall. The off the SB drive are open, and a young woman entered. Her eyes were swollen, her lips cracked. There were bruises on her arms.
Natalie, can you help me?
Yes. I stood up and walked toward her.
What is your name?
Emily. Emily, would you like to stay?
Yes.
Good. I held her hand, was cold and thin, but my hand was warm.